I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank everybody for coming today. First item on the agenda would be the approval of the May 2nd or the April 2nd meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second to approve the minutes from the April 2nd meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Approval of the agenda. Any additional items for the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. First item up on the agenda would be Roger Gunderson, maintenance supervisor, going to give us an update on some of the discussions we've had in the past.
Yeah, I was asked to bring up about windows. Last summer, we had one rainstorm came in from the west, and we had a fair amount of water come in on the west side. And since then, I've dug out a bunch of old caulking and recalked the windows on the west side and the east also. So we just haven't had a big rain with a heavy wind since then to see how it's going to hold up. Hopefully it does well. Regarding AED machines, when Kristen Nelson and I put them up, we weren't exactly sure how high they should go, but we agreed that we should have them high enough that unattended small children won't get into them. So they probably are a few inches higher than they is regulation. But we also said that they're here. They didn't used to be. Don't nitpick over small things. They won in the memorial bling was already used, probably to save a life, not long after we put it in. So.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that.
What's that?
There's an ADA compliance that they're supposed to be a certain height, and that's the height they should be.
Do you know how many other things here that are not ADA compliant?
Well, then I guess you better get on it.
Let's start with the elevator.
Okay.
Elevator, third floor restrooms. I could create a plethora of items that would probably not be in compliance for this 1958 building, but
And many other buildings, courthouses in this state. We're certainly not alone.
I'm sorry, it's a simple fix, right? I mean, the ADA is not a suggestion, it's a federal law. And if this is one that we can abide by, then let's abide by it.
So then we need to abide by the elevator also. Right?
We should certainly try, but that's a more complicated fix, right? So
It's still a ADA compliant.
I ain't in the mood to go around in circles with you. So here's the deal. It's a simple fix, right? There's all kinds of NFPA standards fire departments can't, but if they can't meet. But as long as they're trying to meet them, that's a step in the right direction. I will go to bat for you 100,000 times if you have to get after somebody's parent because the kid was in the AED box.
Okay. Well,
but I will not accept the fact that that's the only reason they're high.
okay. Well, if it's the
Roger,
do
you know, Roger, what we would have to bring him to?
No, I'd have to find. Oh, you can find that out easy enough. I don't know what the height is exactly. No, but
I believe it's 48 inches.
From the bottom of the thing or the top?
Yeah, we'll have to.
48 inches above the floor.
The handle itself would be 48 inches.
The handle has to be 48 inches.
Yep.
Bottom of the handle.
So the handle that you're
Yeah,
opening up the
yeah.
AED door would have to be 48 inches to meet compliance. I'm not sure where they're at now, or if we're
But I guess my question is, if we're going to move it, let's get it right. The handle, where? Center on the handle, the bottom of the handle, the top of the handle, where?
I think that's some, Roger, if we could, I think that's some research that
middle
we should do. And then
middle of the handle.
I'm with Lee. I think it's something that it's a simple to come into the compliant. I think we should also do it just for the fact that I agree the elevator's not, but on the same token, this is something that won't cost us anything to do.
All right. Yeah,
You know.
okay. But, okay, if we go with the middle of the handle at 48 inches, that's going to be acceptable now.
We'd have to double check the regulations, but it should be.
Okay.
Would that?
Okay.
I'll make a
Do you
motion.
think that would meet with your?
Well, as long as it's to the code, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I'm sure there's an explanation in there somewhere where it says, how you measure it. The one I found was to the bottom of the box.
Bottom of the box at 48 inches?
No, the bottom of the box was at 34 inches or something, the one I read.
That'd be a lot lower than the handle at 48.
A lot
Yeah.
lower than 48. So. And do we have a ADA compliance person on staff? Chris, is that you? Will you work with Mr. Gunderson to figure out what the appropriate elevation of those AED boxes should be, and see if we can make reasonable accommodations?
So if you can shot for the middle, check the federal. This is just off the AED store. I'll get with Roger. We'll get it worked out. 3 days.
And just to be clear, I was totally blissfully unaware of this until I became a commissioner and somebody brought it to my attention. That's why I brought it to your attention.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. If it's something that we can, an easy fix.
Yeah.
We can fix it. And I'm not saying that there's not other things in the courthouse that are not compliant. But if there is something in the courthouse that we can fix other than this, that it's not going to cost us thousands and thousands of dollars, well, then we should try to,
Yeah, sure.
accommodate it as much as possible. I would say just
Well,
with
even
the public coming in here and using it.
it should be, that plan should always be updated, I mean, if there's things that we aren't compliant on and there's something that we can fix at some point,
Correct.
we should have a plan looking at that stuff so we stay on top of it.
Those ADA regulations, in my opinion, and for somebody who's lived in with a disability for 40 years, are so ambiguous that there's no rhyme or reason to any of them, because one size does not fit all in the world of disabilities. What works really well for me may not work for the next individual with a disability. But anytime you leave those type of regulations to legislators, they can screw things up. But we'll try to follow them the best we can.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is that what I understand? To
You make
fix.
a motion.
Yep. I'll make the motion that we follow it to as close as we can get it.
I'll second it if nobody else says.
Okay. Any further discussion on the AED regulations? And when we're doing this, Mr. Jager, can you make sure that the batteries are checked and recharged and whatever they need to be?
Yep, they've already been checked
Appreciate that. Thank you. Any further discussion on the AED requirements? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Roger, in your opinion, do you think that the caulking on the windows will hold?
Hope so.
You know,
We'll find out with the next good wind and heavy rain.
right?
But I did see places that definitely where water would have gotten in, yes.
Yeah.
So, and got those dug out and filled in again, so.
One of those crazy weather events that we hope we don't see on a real regular basis. Driving winds with driving rain at 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Well, and
Um,
if it fixes it, at least we don't have to worry about something getting rotted out,
Right. Yep.
creating
So-
more havoc down the road.
Well, we have you at the podium, and would you like to give a little bit of an update on the sheriff house?
Service master took their stuff out early last week. We've got 5 dehumidifiers and a few fans going in there. Their upstairs bathroom will probably have to paint it for some reason in there. Cracked paint on what they call that old style wainscoting. Okay.
Yeah.
They cracked that a lot, and
Mm.
we'll have to scrape that down and repaint that. But other than that, I mean, structurally,
I do have a question on, so the damage that happened, and if we turned it into the insurance, correct?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
So we will be required to fix it, correct? Okay. Because I got asked that question
well,
this week, so
the damage, the cause of the damage, yeah, that's pretty much already been taken care of. The broken water pipes, and we are no longer going to have running water in, well, not upstairs anyway. Might still have some in the basement. We can easily run a pipe from the where it comes out of the floor, the main line, over to just they got a utility sink in another adjoining room right there. They did try and want to get water in there, and I said, yeah, that shouldn't be too bad of an issue, but we'll see.
because I don't know what the insurance is gonna require, to get payment, because I know a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
If back to,
What it was.
that's something that we gotta, I feel that's something that we need to be careful on how we go about it so that we don't break the rules. Imagine there's something that's in the,
So probably.
I stated earlier meeting that I talked to Bismarck, Amy Monson is her name, historic buildings, and she said we're not required to have a bathroom in that building. And right now, that's the one water leak that is still left. And we're not sure where it is, other than it's in the wall. We know it's going to that bathroom. And we don't want to tear into the walls, and they didn't want us tearing into the wall either. So she said we could just abandon that bathroom, so we don't have to disrupt any of that. And the other breaks, he found 7 other breaks that were in the basement. They've all been fixed.
Trying it out the best we can. So, any other updates on the sheriff house?
Well, I think that should be it. Haven't heard anything back from insurance. Haven't gotten any bills from Service Master or Mac Plumbing either. So
Have we seen the water usage yet?
no, I talked to Jackie right after I talked to
Yep.
you, and no, it's been normal rates.
Hmm.
Last one they paid was March 16th. It was $27, and I said, well, by then we've seen that, and we had the
Should-
water shut off.
Should have seen the excess.
Yeah, either they're behind their billings
Sure.
or something.
Be interesting to know how much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Anything further for Roger tonight? Appreciate you coming in.
thanks, Roger.
And
Yep.
Carpet looks great. New tile looks good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We need the front room done now.
Thank you, Roger. Chris. Mr. Jager. Oh yeah. Missed you. Sorry, Steve.
Just a few things this evening. The Eagle View has begun their flying of the county, but have not finished, so they'll have to probably come back next weekend once it clears up. So, and then
Did they say roughly how long it would take? Week roughly, or just for the fly overview?
right, it sounds about right. And then just need some clear weather. And
How big a rig do they fly?
good question. It's got to be pretty tight, especially around the city, where with the higher resolution, they'll have to fly lower. And
Wasn't the county a foot and then the city was 6 inches or something?
county was 6 and city is 3 inches.
Yeah.
I knew it was quite.
Even tighter than that, yeah. So they'll have to be flying quite low and high resolution and all that kind of good stuff. And hopefully, like Steve and I have had this conversation with this rain, things will bloom quickly in our landscape. So hopefully they don't miss a window with bad weather or untimely something. But yeah, so
Yeah.
appreciate that update.
And I guess then our GIS software payment is due. And it's a little bit of an increase from last year, but it's just the second increase they've had for the main portion of it for at least in 15 years. So
And what's that payment?
the total is $35.85.
And that's something we share with the city,
This is just basically the
just yours.
desktop.
Okay.
The city one, and yes, it includes an online portion which we've been using, and
And this is for how long? For the year then? Or-
yes,
Okay.
and so it will be like the city, the part that the city was paying, we discontinued last year because
Oh, yeah.
the server is going away, and we can get by with the online version, so I won't have to maintain that, and you won't have to pay that service fee.
Okay. So we need a motion to go ahead and approve ordering that because we're not paying it correctly right now.
Right, just to continue paying
Yeah.
or the maintenance on the,
So 35.85, is that the total?
yes.
They see on the bottom? Okay. Somebody like to entertain that motion?
I would so move.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second to go ahead and allow GIS coordinator to order the ESRI GIS software. 35.85. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And
Thank
then
you.
the conference, out-of-state travel.
Yes, and the annual conference to run that software is July 15th through the 19th in San Diego again. I'd like to attend.
You have what that's gonna cost?
It's usually around or 1,500, and I guess depending on the flight cost. And
You haven't talked them into having that in January, have you?
no, but
I think all us commissioners would probably appreciate a conference in San Diego
yeah,
about that time. but. So we need, approval for Mr. Mo to attend the SRE conference in, San Diego in July.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve out-of-state travel request. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. No, that's been a very valuable experience for you. Appreciate you keeping that up.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else, Steve?
Nope.
Commissioners, anything for Steve?
All right.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Steve.
Now we'll get to Chris. Mr. Jager, welcome.
Well, good evening, everybody. Just a quick thing. Looking at it's actually not for emergency management. It was for Lake Region UAS. Looking at purchasing some protective equipment for the guys. The grand total is going to be roughly about 5,000. So just looking at approval to spend those. Protective vests and carriers. So
Is that 2 or
I'll be up to 4.
4?
And you had this budgeted.
Yep, it's in the budget. Yep.
Motion to approve the purchase or ordering.
Yeah, I'm waiting on 2 companies to get back. It's been a slow process.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to give approval for purchase of protective equipment for members of the Lake Region UAS team. Roughly around $5,000. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And since I'm up here, I'll discuss some, if you guys are okay with it, the floodplain stuff and the multi-hazard mitigation.
Yeah, please continue.
Okay. So we just had a meeting, kickoff meeting for new mapping on Monday with Laura Horner and Tyler Spolmer from the State Water Commission. It's starting to look like a good process going forward. A few of you were in attendance. Really hoping that this really gets off the ground because it's going to be a major role for how FEMA sees our floodplain. Looking like a big uplift going from 2 different datums, the 88 versus the 29 for how they read our lake levels. The 29 is from 1929 and the 88 is from 1988. So historically, everyone's been really focused on the 29 data because there was so much like information, so much studies going on with that. But realistically, the 88 data is a little bit better. So that's what they're trying to transition to, especially with these new maps. So that process is rolling out. I guess we didn't get a confirmation completely, did we? They were going forward
On the timeline?
on the timeline.
Well, it's something that's contracted through the Department of Water Resources. They hired that outside consultant, HDR, and what was the other one? Michael something.
I can't recall his name.
Yeah. Well, that Michael something is the contractor, the company's name. So it's something that's being done throughout the state, and we're, I think, the last on the list. So we'll go through that process with the Department of Water Resources and their contractors, and I think put them in contact with Steve, and Steve's has a plethora of information and data for them that they've requested access to, and so I think it'll be a good fit. Unfortunately, like they were saying at the meeting, it's a 3 to 5 year process, maybe longer. But in the meantime, yeah.
One nice thing too, like we were discussing some of that Eagle view that Steve was just discussing, should be able to maybe hopefully tie into their program too. So it'll be a great benefit for the community.
Yep. Agreed.
So moving on to the multi-hazard mitigation stuff, I am still waiting. I spoke with Candy yesterday if we've heard back from any of the cities for their resolution adoption for the multi-hazard mitigation. I don't know if you've heard back from anybody yet. Hopefully the towns or the cities will get that information back to us very soon, because the faster we get it back, the faster we get our plan adopted. I guess that's pretty much the final ending for that plan before it becomes completely officially adopted.
Has anybody noticed any issues with the plan? I think Chris had emailed it out at 154 pages long.
It's a little lengthy.
Uh, just looking through some of the stuff, looking more so for mistakes.
Mhm.
Some of the more common ones that we've seen in the past, and I haven't noticed any of those. So, which is good. So, do we go ahead and approve this prior to the cities giving their approval to it, or
We need everybody to approve
we
it.
need everybody approve it? So, we'll have to make sure that we get on top of the communities in the county.
I believe Candy sent out a reminder to the auditors of the cities, at least to get that priority one on their agendas. So
I'm sure some of the smaller communities only meet once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Do you want to take care of that now, Jeff, then pass the resolution?
we certainly could, unless you wanted to wait
I
until.
mean, we're talking about it.
Yeah. I don't.
I didn't see anything. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't either.
I mean, it's not like
Okay.
Didn't go
I
through.
absorbed the whole 154 pages, but it looked. I mean, I didn't find any mistakes either. So
it'll look pretty good to you guys.
I think it read well.
I'd make the motion that we adopt the resolution or adopt the plan, the hazard mitigation plan.
Yep.
I would second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the multi-hazard mitigation plan. Further discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved.
Thank you, everybody.
We should have seconded the first version.
No. Oh. Okay. Kevin.
All right. First thing on my list, all the summer maintenance contracts. At the end there, it says we're waiting for his prospect. We did get that. So right now I'm looking for a motion to have the chairman and the auditors sign the remaining summer maintenance contracts from the city of Devils Lake, Cooley, Creo, Freshwater, Hamer, Hope, Lilyhoff, Northfield, Noonan, Ontario, and Prospect Townships.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and have the chairman and auditor sign the summer maintenance contracts with the above listed communities. Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Continue, please.
Okay, and then mag water. Last few years, we have, I'm gonna put it on the county roads, we have paid for 75% of it. And the local residents, local homeowners have paid 25% of it. Just want to know if that's how you intend to do it again this year. Like a motion to that effect, if that's what we want to do. One thing I should add, it cost us about $10,000.
I would make a motion to apply the Mag water to the county roads
At the 75-25.
at the 75-25.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and do a similar cost share on the Megwater dust suppressant on the county roads. Further discussion on that?
I have one question.
Mhm.
How many people agreed to not do it? If up that on their portion.
We don't do it unless they do agree. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have to let us know that they're willing to pay the 25% before we go ahead with it.
But how many people might that be that we would apply?
The ones we did do, I would say about 10, 9 or 10. I think we added one last year, so.
Have any idea what that cost per 100 yards or?
The price went up last year. I haven't seen the price for this year, but last year it was like $1.30 a foot, like a 24-foot wide road. So I'm guessing $1.30, $1.40 somewhere.
Any townships ask you to do that?
There's some that do it on their own,
Do it on
but
their
they
own?
go through the contractor themselves. We don't.
Okay.
get involved.
You don't get involved with that?
Right.
Okay.
Creel does quite a bit out here in Lakewood area.
Sure. No. I could see some townships being more active in that. Okay.
One other, Roy.
I don't
Roy-
think we,
What?
did we vote on that?
Oh,
So we better vote. Any further discussion on the Megwater 75-25 cost share on the county roads? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Roy Riggin is designing a subdivision out on Walleye Drive on the east side of the road, across from where those campers are set up. He is designing it with a frontage road, but he wants to put an approach on each end of the frontage road. And currently there's only one. So he has to design it with the second one on the other end. He hasn't applied for a permit yet because don't know exactly where it's going to be. So, but he wants to know if he should continue with the design. So I think for now, the designer is just looking for some kind of approval. We did do the same thing on the west side, but we required them to put an approach on each end.
He's obviously been working with the township as well.
I don't know. It's still in the drafting stages.
Okay.
So
He's just looking for our approval for
so
the,
he can put it on his draft.
sure. On the, county road there.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know if that would, eventually when he has a permit, we'll have to approve that. But for now, he's just wondering if he should continue with the plan as putting on each end. I think it only makes sense. I mean, it's like, not quite a quarter mile long. So it's quite a long stretch for just one approach.
Sure.
The speed limit's 50 there. So there's not too many approaches. Speed limit wide, there's not going to be too many approaches.
Okay.
So I don't know how you want to handle it, if it needs a motion or not, but somehow we need to let him know whether to continue with the design that way.
Do we anticipate any other infrastructure? I mean, is that going to be adding that much more traffic out there, or do we anticipate?
They're going to be storage units, like workshop type storage units. So I don't intend no campers, that kind of stuff. Okay. So won't be a lot of traffic, but
So say there's not a lot land left over.
Yeah, once you get, he's going from the Henniger Landing, he's going south. So when you start going north, it's not as good a property for development.
They get pretty close to the sewer too.
Right.
Well, two approaches make sense to me too. So I would say that.
Actually, that's what we did on the other side too. So look the same.
Yeah.
The other one has the second on the east side, west side is the second one hasn't been built yet, but it's not developed either. So
Would you like a motion to go ahead and approve that design?
yeah, let's make a motion just so it's on the
Okay.
books.
I'll make that motion then. Put two approaches in. He's gonna have to come back and get a permit.
Yes, correct.
I'll say
Second.
Go ahead and approve the two approaches on the design for the subdivision on the east side of Walleye Drive. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
So I have a couple other things to bring up. We did get the bid results for our thin lift overlay. We just got them, so I didn't have time. We had 4 bidders, so it was a competitive bid anyway. When you go down to the colored boxes, the first yellow one is the engineer's estimate from KLJ. The second one in green there is from Mayo Construction. They are actually the low bid. We had 2, there's an alternate A and an alternate B. Alternate B was using recycled asphalt. Alternate A was using no recycled asphalt. So it's a little bit cheaper on the bids to use the recycled asphalt rather than not use it. So if we go with Mayo's alternate B bid, they're the low bid. And in the past, that's what we have been doing is putting recycled asphalt back into the, typically they have huge piles of the recycled asphalt at their plant. So it's a way for them to use it up. But at this point, if there isn't any questions, we need to have a motion to accept the low bid, and then have a motion, 2 motions, a motion to sign the acceptance letter and send it back to Mayo for their signatures. It's a lot of information to look at, but I think I budgeted $2 million, but that included all the engineering and the guardrail, of course. That should be about it. So we're quite a bit under what I had budgeted. We'll be using prairie dog money for this.
So question, alternate A is brand new asphalt. It's not recycled.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
I'll move we accept the low bid. Alternate B from Mayo.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to go ahead and accept the low bid from Mayo Construction. $1,200,014. I'm trying to, I need magnifying glasses instead of my bifocals, but 36. Okay. Anyway, the low bid. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I should ask some discussion, kind of what time frame do they start?
So we'll have to have a pre-job with them, and then they'll tell us then when the date is. We did put a has to be done by date, but we don't have a start date in the bid. But after we have our pre-job, I don't know.
Need another motion to go ahead and sign the acceptance for the low bid with Mayo Construction.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to go ahead and have the, I would assume, chairman, auditor sign that, Kevin?
Yes, chairman and the auditor has to witness, correct?
All right. Further discussion on the second motion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay. And also I have some more information on the Hagee Bridge. There's a lot I don't understand about these bridges, so I'll stumble through what I do have. This is actually just a picture of the bridge. As I go through the explanation, this is the email chain with KLJ. It says that the bridge has a NBA rating, National Bridge Inspection rating of 6, satisfactory or higher, and the bridge health index is 98.22 out of 100. So it's actually quite good. The bridge is 47 years old, and I didn't see anything that jumps out to increase the load rating except fixing the erosion, undermining, and possibly replacing the one corroded steel pile at the pier. Let me dig out the picture. So the piers, sometimes we call them head walls. The head walls is what they're calling the piers. The load rating for the superstructure only, in other words, the deck only, has no condition capacity reductions. So what that means is it can't be improved upon. Flexure of the timber slab, span controls, and the bridge was not designed with enough capacity for today's standard loads. So that center pier is called the center pier. And if you look in between those two, there's 2 spans. One on that center pier, there's one on the left, one on the right. Those are the spans. And then there's a wooden beam holding no spans. That wooden beam is called the spreader beam. Okay. Given the bridge is 47 years old, near the end of its design lifespan, overall safety condition, low EDTs of 20, and reasonably high posting of 26 tons, whoever wrote this email says I would leave the bridge as is. However, the county wants the ideas to increase the rating. There's a spreader beam at mid-span of each span. And my 3 ideas to increase the rating involve supporting the spreader beam. Okay, number 1 is add 1 H pile, like a piling that they drive into the ground, at each end of the spreader beam. You can't pile drives under the deck. So it has to stick out beyond the sides, and then connect that with the steel I-beam to support the spreader beam. Everybody follow that? Okay. That way there will be 3 piers. And honestly, the other 2, well, I'll read them. The other 2 options aren't ideal. Suspend stainless steel cable, anchor behind the abutments. The abutments are the head walls. Below the driving surface to post tension between the substructures. The substructures are those 2 big spans and use vertical timber or steel timbers to mid-span to support the spreader beam. Again, they're trying to support the spreader beam with a steel cable that gets anchored to the head walls that way. And the third option was add a timber or steel beams underneath the spreader beam and connect to the substructure piling. So they would add some kind of a beam to that spreader and hook it back to the head wall, which in my head, I can't even picture that. But that's the third option. Everybody follow me so far?
Pretty close.
Okay. So just wanted to give an update. We're looking at but we haven't come up with a viable plan yet. Option 1 below with 4 piles and 2 steel I-beams supporting the spreader beams doesn't seem to be too far out there. I assume we need borings to calculate the bearing, etc. We'll check and see if that would even get the load rating over 40 tons to remove the posting. If it is, it still may not be cost effective, but I'll let you know what guys come up with. So then he got back to me, he said, we're not sure if we could get the span to carry a full load, but thinks it's possible. In other words, 40 tons. We can put a small agreement together, financial wise, to run the numbers, as it'll take some time to do the calcs. He thinks we could do it without borings, but we'd be guessing at the length of the pile needed. So the estimated construction cost would be more of a range rather than a hard number. That's it. So that's where we're at right now. They're looking for, KLJ is looking for maybe some kind of an agreement to do some further studies on this.
I'd say not
So,
tonight.
yeah, it's a lot to swallow.
Well, it is. Best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, and I'm not going to finish it tonight.
How many times has this been on this study? I mean, I'm not trying to hear it, but man, we seem like we're doing studies on culverts and bridges, and the next year we're doing studies on culverts, and I'm starting to get to the point where it's a scam, and we're just paying these bills because we're in a floodplain area. You know, and I know he's not here to step up, but it's just, man, we do so many studies and they cost an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
So how many, it says it's almost at the end of life. You got an estimate on what that would be?
They're saying if we left it at 26 tons, it might last another, I don't know, 15, 20 years. But it's at 26 tons. And
right.
We know that it's going to take more abuse than that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, really,
maybe 10 years. I don't know. It's a guess, but
My thing is, are we better replace it?
well, that's kind of where I was.
You get 10 years out of it, then we don't even know what it's going to take to get abuse. We might only get 5 years. We waste a whole bunch of money.
Right.
Doing a study, we're going to do a study. We do the study to replace it.
Right.
I think we'd be money ahead, because I want this thing, if we replace it, to last another 40 years.
Or maybe longer nowadays. Design them.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. The equipment just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I think it'd be throwing good money after bad.
Yeah. And
Because by the time, in 10 years, it might be too narrow on top of not being able to carry a load. So then you go right back to where you are today.
Or something else we can't even think of.
Right.
And haven't we said that this doesn't qualify for federal aid because of the, and there's another alternate route close by?
Yep, that's part of it. Yep. So one of them do
take that into consideration.
Well, I would say bring us back some further information come our May meeting and let us digest a little bit on this. And
wait with the study. I guess I kind of agree. If we're going to spend the amount of money maybe close to equal is what they're
Right.
actually saying.
Right.
So why not just get the new version rather than the repair?
Yeah, because I don't want to do a study for the repair and then another study to do the bridge.
Placement. Yeah.
I just seems like it's
Share that information that you got with the commission and let us take a look at it, and then
Oh, the email? Okay. I will do that.
anything else commissioners want in order to make a better informed decision on that bridge. It's still marked with the limited crossing there, the weight limits,
Yes.
correct? Yep.
Yep. We have to leave those up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
gives us
Okay.
some kind of protection if someone does go on there with bigger.
yeah. I'd say get us that information or anything else that you'd like us to take a look regarding the Hagee Bridge for our May meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Anything else, Kevin?
Nope.
Anything from the commission? Appreciate you guys. Keep up the good work. Well, I think we got everything discussed under the unfinished business. Did we do everything with floodplain administration? I know we're getting the townships, all the resolutions signed back, filled back in. Did we want to discuss the Model D at all? Um, personally, I would have liked to have seen that before it went out to townships, because I got questions immediately regarding that. But cat's already out of the bag, so we'll take a look at that Model D when you're ready.
I apologize. I thought at the March meeting, at the beginning of March, the understanding was that we would be sending that out to the townships ahead of their meetings towards the end of the month of March. I didn't realize that the commission wanted to look at those before we had sent those out.
I must have missed that because I just thought it was the resolutions of accepting the land use authorization that we're looking at.
Mhm.
And then the Model D went out and yeah, Model D was the only one that I hadn't seen prior to, because we had proved the option 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. And then all of a sudden I got a question on a Model D and I said I hadn't seen it. So
And at this point, it's just a very rough draft. A lot of the townships wanted to have some sort of idea of what it would even look like.
sure.
What is in that draft is largely what FEMA has produced as what they require as bare minimum standards. We really didn't do much alteration or changing to fit the Ramsey County area.
Okay.
The point was to encourage the townships to come to the table so that they could have a much larger stake in how things are shaped as we move forward.
Right. Okay. But I think we've gotten really good response back from the townships.
Good.
Not 100%, but they're getting close. So certainly encourage the townships that still have questions regarding that to either reach out to Mr. Jager or one of the commissioners or Mr. Hall, and we could answer those questions regarding the options of the land use authorization for floodplain administration. So, anybody else have anything else on the under unfinished business? I think we got everything else discussed. New business, approved payment for senior citizen funds.
Just a few things with that. Edmore Senior Citizen Center has dissolved. We're waiting on a fund check to come back from them. And the senior meals, the foot clinic, the person or persons who were doing the foot clinic are no longer, so she's trying to find replacement. So she asked if, those funds could just be on hold until she found another set of people to replace. But that's all I have.
Anybody like to make a motion to approve the payment of senior citizen funds? Anybody have any questions for Candy regarding?
So this is just releasing funds that were in the budget to the
Right.
senior citizen centers that apply. So moved.
Second. Motion and a second to go ahead and release funds to the senior centers throughout the county. Further discussion? Hearing none, you want a roll call on that, or are we dispersing funds?
We can do a roll call.
Okay.
Wilhelmy.
Aye.
Hodis.
Aye.
Volk.
Aye.
Gessner.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Recommendation from Planning and Zoning Committee. Commissioner Gessner.
We had one proposal to do the planning and zoning update to the comprehensive plan. I think they're with us tonight, so I guess it was approved at our last meeting to go ahead and recommend the adoption of the proposed scope of work.
And the company is Houston Engineering?
Houston Engineering, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the only question that we had was right now we only have approximately half the money budgeted for this year. So we're wondering if that scope of work, if we do the complete plan, if we would be able to get the rest of the money into the next budget year, if that would.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, my name's Steven Zimmer, and I'm the owner of IntelliPlans. We set it up, I guess, in the proposal that the scope of work was for an extent was for, I guess, 2 budget cycles, knowing that we actually broke it down to the fact that, if you only were going to spend this much money, this is how much work we could do for that amount of money, get you your comprehensive plan, get you the basic elements of the other things that you were looking at. But to do the full scope of work then obviously was an extended budget, but we are under the understanding that, it would have to go through another budget cycle most likely to do the full scope of what we'd proposed. And so that was another question, I guess, if it was approved by the planning zoning, or if the commission is going to approve it, if it's for if it's for the full project, for the full amount of money, or if it's for the reduced scope, or what it was for.
The recommendation was to do the whole thing.
Okay.
That cost $108,000 roughly.
Yeah, 108,095.
And also, Donna Bai is from Houston Engineering, as a representative for them as well. So, I guess if you guys had any other questions about the scope of work or the project itself or anything like that, I guess we can try to answer that.
And the timeline again, Steve?
I believe it was what, 18 months. 18 months for the total from start to finish, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a relatively, I mean, we have to get down into the details, obviously, of exactly what you're looking for, but yeah, I guess that's a good time frame as far as it seems like with as many things that are going on. I guess, like I said, I live in Munich, so I'm general, and I work for with the city of Devils Lake, so I'm pretty familiar with all the. There's a lot of townships and different municipalities, I guess, that have different things going on. So to be able to put all that together to get you guys what you need it'll take a little bit of time to get steered in the right direction. But yeah, so I think the full 18 months that's a good time frame.
A lot of moving parts and
Yes.
long overdue plan. So appreciate your guys' hard work. So that's a recommendation from the planning committee.
Yes.
Go ahead with the full scope.
Yes.
Okay.
Please. Officially, I'll make a motion that we accept the full scope of work from Houston Engineering and Intel Plans to work on our comprehensive plan.
Okay.
I would second.
Perfect. Motion and a second to go ahead with the proposal from Houston Engineering and Intel Plans for updating and completing the Ramsey County Comprehensive Plan and duties as we see fit. I'm kind of the way it works, but understand how those planning moving parts go. So I appreciate you guys' proposal and look forward to working with you. So further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you again for coming in tonight. And thank you guys and the planning committee. Approve homestead credit abatements.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to go ahead and approve the homestead credit abatements. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Inspector appointment resolution. We have this in our packet. Candy can explain.
It's just a resolution that is giving me the authority to for you guys to adopt who I have as election inspectors for the upcoming election year. I have Karen Hausman, who is going to be doing the election day. And I have Sarah Amfinson, who is going to be doing the vote by mail.
Motion to approve resolution.
Second. We have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the resolution, inspector appointment resolution. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of ANS Awareness Week resolution. So this is very similar to the resolution that we passed last year. ANS Aquatic Nuisance Species Awareness Week will be proclaimed first week in May, and obviously it'll start before we meet again. So I wanted to get this on the commission's agenda for this evening and get that approved and signed, just stating that we're well aware of the impacts that aquatic nuisance species could have on not only our regions, but our state's waterways, and that we fully support the efforts of the Game and Fish Department's Aquatic Nuisance Species Awareness Week.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to go ahead and approve the ANS Awareness Week resolution. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sheriff, I see you came in. Anything for us tonight? Okay. Appreciate you being here. Visitors and delegations. Anybody online? Anybody questions? Hearing and seeing none. Announcements. One thing that I want to make commissioners aware of is we'll have a request for some memorial statutes for North Dakota Fallen Heroes Foundation. Would like put a bronze statute for some of our fallen soldiers on the lawn of our memorial building. Thought that would be a good spot for it, since that is a memorial building, whether it be in one of the circles by the flag or on the other side. Both of them would be covered by security cameras. Very appropriate for those location of those bronze statues that they're be looking at placing. Just want to get that on our radar. We'll have probably looking at some sort of landscaping request coming up in the future, but I know it's been a work in progress. They're putting these bronze statues in all the hometowns of the fallen heroes for Iraqi freedom and Desert Storm operations, I think, so throughout North Dakota. So I think it's an appropriate.
And they fund it, right?
Yep. So, and so that's something that we may need to act quickly on if they want to, depending on when they're going to have a dedication ceremony for the placement of those, and whether they do it during the Fallen Soldiers 14K. I think it's a 14K that they do. Usually Devil's Run weekend, or if they want to do something on Memorial Day weekend itself. So we'll see what kind of timeline they have for that. I have nothing further. Anybody else have any announcements?
Well, I guess I don't know if it's in. Sheriff Lang did contact me here last week and asked about putting in a bulk fuel tank for gas for the squad cars. I think it'd be appropriate. Just he kind of had some rough figures. They really don't track the gallons right now. And we are eligible to get the federal gas tax, which is 18.4 cents a gallon, and road diesel is 24.4 cents a gallon. I was wondering if that's something that we could have our department heads do, set up a spreadsheet so they can keep track of the gallons. In order to get that tax rebate, it has to be submitted in gallons. Right now, we just kind of have rough dollar figures.
Sure.
I think that would be good information to have to see if at some point, if we can put in, if that bulk tank will pay for itself.
Start tracking that, allowing all county vehicles to utilize that.
Yeah. Probably
House it down at the county shop maybe, or?
Well, I would assume that's probably where it's going to have to go. Kevin's already looking. He's already getting cramped down there. But right now, I think what we need to do is get a handle on the gallons and stuff, so we know what that. I did have it in. I talked with a fuel supplier, and he roughly thought if you bought bulk gas and it was some like a half a tanker full at a time, or a tanker full, that we could save 30 cents a gallon on top of the rebate. I think it's something that we need to do some groundwork and get some facts and figures before and I think it'd be a good time now we start this, get it out there by the 1st of May. So department heads had time to figure out a spreadsheet or whatever, so we could get that turned in.
Sure.
Right, but I don't think when, like the sheriff,
Yeah, we just try to see it.
and I think they just track the money portion of it. I don't know that they're
Yeah.
tracking the gallon portion. I figured you would have the gallons. That would be easy for you, but like for Chris and that, I don't think they track the gallons. So,
Don't the receipts usually have gallons on?
well, they do, but once the receipt comes in, I think it's just put in as
Money.
It hasn't been tracked.
right. Yeah,
The data was there, but we didn't
right.
do anything.
Okay. Well, that'd be a good thing to start.
Because it's, just for the rough figures, just for the sheriff's department, it was almost $2,400 that we would get back from the federal tax.
Sure.
Doesn't take long to add up to a pretty good payment.
Not only that, I think you'd be really surprised how many gallons we go through.
Right. And then we'd have, you buy a tank big enough for half a tanker load, or you go for a full tanker load. And I'm not sure how that process would work. I would think we'd have to put that out on bids every time we got a tanker load, because it would be a fair or not. Monthly bids. Okay.
Well, we can put that on the agenda for May and get the word out to the department heads for their comments and approve that in the first meeting in May for a tracking system. So, well, I know, but since it wasn't on the agenda,
Right. Yeah. And it's right now it'd just be for information purposes
Right.
anyway. I mean, I don't think we can.
Okay. Any other announcements? Hearing none. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for attending.